Welcome to our Gemara Shir. Gemara is straight and simple. This is not Amud Yomi, not Daf Yomi, no special programs, just a Gemara Shir. Believe it or not. So we are in Shabbos, Daf Kuf Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, Kuf Mem Aleph Amud Aleph. And even if you missed yesterday's shir, the one before, you can definitely dive straight in. We are diving now to the sugya, to the issue, the topic of diving and swimming in a river on Shabbos. What happens if you go to the river to swim on Shabbos? Something that lechatchila you should avoid doing, as we'll explain later. But the Gemara that we're going to see now will comment about this topic of some kind of side topic to do with swimming on Shabbos. This year is for the Ilu Nisham of my father, Rabbi Nachum ben Akiva, for the quick release of all the hostages, Be'ezus Hashem, and may we see the Geula Shlema very soon. Amar Rav Yehuda, Shabbos Kuf Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, kind of middle of the page. Amar Rav Yehuda, Man desachi b'maya, a person who swims in the water. So imagine yourself, a person goes for a dip. He wants to swim on Shabbos in the river. There are many issues that are involved with that, and it's not recommendable to do lechatchila. Swimming on Shabbos could be an issue because you may come to create a little boat, like a life-saving little, not a whole boat, but like a life-saving raft. That's one issue. Another issue, one even going to mikveh on Shabbos is an issue. It's a question, and that is a person who has hair, beard, hair, and some of us do have hair, and if you dry your hair and you dry it well enough, you come to do schita, which is squeezing out the water out of the hair. That's an issue. So let's say, however, sometimes going to the, I'm sorry. Yes, sometimes going to the river is okay. Let's say you don't swim, you just have to dip for the need of Tumah v'Tahara. Sometimes it's allowed. Mishnah Berurah says, En limchos biyodoi, especially when the person became Tomeh on Shabbos. Yeah, let's say a person had Shich Vazera, then there's definitely room to allow the person to go to the mikveh or go to the river. As long as he doesn't dry his hair too well and doesn't create schita, doesn't squeeze out water. So let's say a person already is in there in the river. I keep saying river and not mikveh. We're not talking here about an indoor pool or indoor mikveh. We're talking about an outdoor area, and the issue that we're facing now is the issue of carrying on Shabbos. So let's read again. What's the issue of carrying tiltul hoitzah on Shabbos when it comes to swimming in an open air lake or river on Shabbos? Says Rav Yehuda, Man desachi b'maya, the one who swims in the water, lin giv nafshe bereisha. Now the person is on his way out of the river. Anybody that ever been to a river in his life knows the river bank is not straight. Yeah, you basically go up and up and up the slope of the river coming up and out. So first of all, as you are stepping out of the river, some say before you're out, some say right after you're out of the river, lin giv nafshe bereisha. First of all, be mitnagev, dry yourself first, v'hadar lislik, and only afterwards you should go up and start walking down the river bank and go back home. Why is it so important to wipe yourself dry before you start walking? Dilma, maybe osila tuyadalad ames bekarmelis. Maybe you may come to carry dalad amos in the Carmelis. This is a river. The river is surrounded by, I don't know, forest, whatever that is, the open area. Yeah, the river bank, that's the Carmelis. The Carmelis is a place that's not Rishus HaYochid, not surrounded by walls. Yeah, not a dalid, not a tent fochim by dalid or dalid. It's not Rishus HaRabim either. But midirabanan, there is another rishus. Yeah, that's a third out of four rishuyos of Shabbos. Carmelis. That's like a no man's land. It's like a forest, valley. field, seaside, river, those places are called the Carmelis. And with the Rabbanan, you're not allowed to carry Daled Ames in a Carmelis. Now, the question is, which carrying is done over here? The person walks, outside the river and he's not yet wet, well, he's not yet dry. What's he carrying? Well, the truth is he's carrying the water. Because the Rishonim explain here, a person who is just out of the mikveh or out of the river, he is dripping water all over. There is so much water that could be that if you calculate all the water all over his body before he dried himself, before he wiped himself, then the person has so much water that he may come to carry this water that's on his body in the Carmelis. So even though it's not the regular way of carrying, yeah, the Meforshim talk about that. You're not carrying water in a cup. It's not the normal way. It's a shinui. But still, even though it's shinui, chachamim were gozer still, and therefore you have to dry yourself well. So now, as you're just out of the mikveh slash river before you start walking out, you dry yourself very, very well. So now you don't have significant amount of water on your body, and then you can start walking, and there's no concern of daladamis in the Carmelis. Baruch Hashem. Now, frek the Gemara, ihachi, if so, ki kanochis nami. Huh? Right? Kadochi, koichoi, dalid amas, ve'osir. If so, you're so concerned that even droplets of water or rivulets of water, there's a lot of water falling down all over your body. If so, if so, you should also be concerned ki nochis. When you go down into the river, it's also a problem. Why? Everybody that's ever been to a swimming pool or a river to swim, as you're walking in, even if you're not swimming, which is another halachic problem here, as you're walking, you're pushing dachi koichod aladamis. You're walking and you're pushing indirectly as you're walking. The water ahead of you is being pushed forwards. V'asil. So the river itself is Carmelis. So tell the person not to walk into a river on Shabbos, besides the other issues. Why? Because he's walking in, and if he's walking in, he's pushing the water that's in front of him. And says the Gemara, no, that's not an issue. Why? Koichoi b'Carmelis lo gozlu. A koichoi, we saw that already in Daf Kuf, those who remember. Carmelis, as we know, is a Durabanan concept. Carmelis, before Rabbanan established the Isur, Carmelis was just a Mokum Ptur, a place in which you are allowed to carry Daladamas. So when Chachamim established the prohibition of carrying in Carmelis, they left out the case of Kocho. What's Kocho? Kocho means his power, meaning his indirect movement. As long as I'm not pushing the water with my hands on purpose, it's just that as I'm walking, me and my stomach and my chest are like kind of indirectly pushing the water. That's not considered to be a direct enough push, and therefore, loy gozru, they're not gozru. Mashenkin, when I walk out, then the water is on my body mamish. It's true, it's a certain shinu, but it's not kocho. Every step mamish, every single millimeter I'm walking, the water is walking with me. A mamish, I have water on me, and this water is what I'm carrying. Imagine yourself like a lot of water on my shoulders, and I'm walking with it. That's not kocho. That's considered mamish direct movement. Every step I take, it's like I have I don't know, some item, a siddur in my pocket, and I walk. The siddur is walking, so to speak, with me. That's also Mashenkin. When you're in the river, your movement and your swimming is indirectly moving the water, and that's not considered as Osir but Kocho. Very, very interesting Rosh. The Rosh brought down by the Shulchan Aruch eventually. The Rosh says that if a person is walking in the rain, are you allowed to walk outside in a very rainy day? Very rainy day. And that very rainy day, what happens? You're walking, and there is matar soichef. That's a lotion of the Rosh and the Shulchan Aruch. What happens when you're walking out with you're not wearing your bathing suit, you're wearing your winter garb, but the rainwater is all over you. Are you allowed to walk then? Is that okay to walk? But because you're carrying the water with you. Says the Rosh that is allowed. Why? Two reasons. The Achronim bring down two reasons. Yeah, the Meforshim and the Rosh, and also the Nosekelim and Shulchan Aruch, they say two things. First of all, they say the amount of water is not so much. The amount of water you have on your body when the rain is all over you is not as much as the water you have when you're outside the river. That's reason number one, and it's brought down in Mishnah Berurah. The Taz does not like that. The Taz, the Turizov, the major Nersekelim and Shulchan Aruch, says that's not true. He says it's not true. Many times you see that rainwater can really drench you. You know, live in a very wet country, very wintry, and it should be not allowed as much as when you get out of the river in the summer. So he gives another reason. He says that over here by the Carmelis, by the river, you have a choice. The choice is don't go, don't go. Don't go to the river. He doesn't say not to go, but I'm saying I think it's understood that anyway, swimming in the river is a very big b'diavad to begin with. And therefore it's not called oines. When you walk down the street and boom, there's rain coming, all of a sudden, yeah, a whole shower comes from upstairs, then it is not up to you. It's a kind of oines. In such a situation, Chachamim did not apply the Gzera. When outside the river, you can do something about it. It was your choice to go in. You go out. Okay, you want to go to the river? Okay, no, b'diavad. So now what do? You wipe yourself and then keep going. When you are stuck in the rain, nobody's going to tell you to stop walking, and you can't dry yourself. It keeps raining, so keep walking until you find some shelter, and that's considered an oinus. However, Mishnah Berurah doesn't say that. Mishnah Berurah brings the other reason that you don't have as much water as in the other case of the river, and that's why it's okay. Okay? So we have two reasons. Omar Abaye says Abaye, I just thought before we continue, there's enough kamina. Want to hear enough kamina? What would be if it's not an oinus? You're in your warm, cozy home in wherever, New York, yeah, London, yeah, and there's rain outside, and you want to walk outside. You don't have to. And you know it's going to rain. So it's not oinus, right? The rain did not catch you in the middle of the way, as the Taz describes. So according to the Taz, it should be also to go outside. According to Mishnah Berurah, it is okay to go outside because the amount is not as much. So l'chayra, it should be okay to leave your home on a rainy day. L'chayra, if not, ask your local Orthodox rabbi. Amar Abaye, yeah, we have a whole collection of halachas here. Yeah, many halachas here you're going to see have to do with ashvuya gumos. Remember, we had the topic in the Mishnah of leveling the ground. Certain things you can't do because you may come to fill in the holes in the ground. Today we live in houses where, it's all Baruch Hashem, it's all tiled, it's different. But still, when you're outside and there's all kinds of grooves, all kinds of holes, gaps, if you come to by mistake level them and fill them in, that's a problem of choresh. And if it's indoors, it's a problem of bona, but it's a problem. Omar Abaye, V'temer Rav Yehuda. Yeah, Abaye or Rav Yehuda said the following: Tit shal gav ragloi. A person has mud on his feet. Okay, so now either you're walking barefoot somewhere, I don't know, your backyard, or according to some, I think even Mishnah Berurah, some Mepharshim say even if you have mud on your shoe. What do? Mekanchoy, you want to clean the mud. Yuck. Mud is not nice. You don't want to walk indoors with your mud on your feet or your shoes. Mekanchoy bekarka and mekanchoy bekoisel. You have two options to how will you wipe off, how will you clean off the tit from your shoe or your foot. We're going to discuss later other issues with shoes that's to do with fixing the shoe. We'll discuss it later. Right now, let's discuss two issues that are here. Mekancha bekarka, you may clean it, you may a shav, not shav, that's not the word. You may um, rub your feet against the ground to clean the dirt. The en mekancha bekoiso, to take your shoe or your foot and rub it against the wall, that's not allowed. Soon the Gemara will tell us why, but I'll tell you the secret already now. Yeah, Abaye here is one out of four opinions we're going to see. We have to remember them. Abaye says, "Bekarka, there's no problem to wipe the dirt, the mud against the hard ground, and we're not concerned it may come to fill in the hole." Because many times the Rishonim explain dafka when you want to clean your feet or anything muddy, your feet, your shoes, your boots. Yeah, you want to do it either against the straight ground or against a bit of an indentation in the ground, a hole. And both are a problem because both may come to bring you to fill in the hole. Either you want it straight or you dafka looking for the guma, and as you're cleaning, you'll create, yeah, you'll fill in the hole with the mud that's on your foot. But Abaya is not concerned about that. On the other hand, bekosel, to clean your feet against the wall, to rub it against the wall is an issue. Why is that an issue? Well, believe it or not, have you ever been to Africa? Yeah, in Africa, you see houses that are made out of mud. So if you clean your feet against such a house, you're adding a layer to the house. So even though it's not boine, but it's similar to boine. It's to do with boine, you're adding a layer of mud. And even if it's made out of stone, some stone houses, not the very fancy, nice ones, the very, very simple stone houses in those very far and out boondocks kind of villages, if you fill in if you add some mud layer to the stones, that's good for the house. It looks like you're building, you're adding another layer. That's what Abai is concerned about. Amar Rove. Rove is challenging Abaye, and Rove will be opinion number two. Amar Rove, my time, because why don't you allow the person to rub against the wall, to clean the mud against the wall? Because your Abaye believe that it looks like he's building. Of course, it's not really building, but it looks like you're building. You're adding more mud, which is really primitive building material, to the wall. Ha binin chaklahu. That's a very, very village, low class kind of building. Yeah, as we said ourselves, it looks like you're in some backwards village in Africa. In most places, you don't add mud to the wall. And therefore, I don't see that as a concern, says Rove. You're looking like you're building by adding mud. No, no. Ela Omar Rove. Therefore, Rove, unlike Abai says, Mekanchoi b'koisel, just the opposite. Just the opposite. Mekanchoi b'koisel, ve'en mekanchoi b'karka. You're allowed to wipe the mud off your feet against the wall, and it doesn't look like you're building. Then mekanchoi b'karka, against the ground, don't rub your feet on the ground. Dil ma'osila shvur you may come to level the ground. And Tosfos again tells us, like he told us before, that even if we hold like Reb Shimon that believes that it's dover shen miskaven muter, and maybe that rubbing is, I'm not trying to fill in the holes, and it may or may not happen. No, as I said before, the person is so eager on cleaning his feet from the mud. Can you imagine? Yeah, you want to go to some nice, fancy, warm home, yeah, with your mud on your feet and they have the nice red carpet over there. You're not going to do that. You'll get very, very pressurized about it. You may come to clean your feet and rub them either against the pit or against the level ground, whatever the case is, and you may come dafka to fill in the holes in order to have a nice surface to clean yourself. And if you may come to do that, forgetting it's Shabbos. And if you do it on purpose, of course it's also even according to Reb Shimon, because it's already over Hamiskaven. You're doing it on purpose, it's also. Itma. So opinion number one is who? Abai and Rove. Abai says, what do? You clean it against the ground, not against the wall. Rove says, against the wall, not against the ground. Ay, Mar Breda Ravina Omar. Mar Breda Ravina Omar, Echad Ze v'Echad Ze Osur. Both are Osur. Rav Papa Omar, Echad Ze v'Echad Ze Mutar. Rav Papa says, no, I am not concerned about neither filling the holes. I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think that it looks like you're building when you're rubbing against the wall. What's the halacha? Let's see. Let's read one more line, and then we'll have some halachic insights. Lamar Breda Ravina b'may mekanchile. According to Mar Breda Ravina, opinion number 3 was Mar Breda Ravina. He said no and no on both accounts, not against the ground, not against the wall. So Mar Breda Ravina, how would you clean your shoe or your feet? You go to your Schwigger's fancy nice home with your dirt and your mud on your feet. That's a crisis. Answers the Gemara, mekanchile bekoiro. You clean it against a beam, a wooden beam, meaning a wooden beam is not a problem whatsoever. Why? Because it's not the ground. There are no holes in a beam. The beam is just something detached. The holes is only concerned in the ground. Because ish is choirish. There's no choirish in a wooden piece. And also, it's not a building. You're not building anything because it's not a house. It's a koiro, right? Definitely, there's no concern. It looks like you're building. However, it's very interesting though, because Mishnah Berurah brings down the Shem earlier people that even if the house, even according to those opinions who do not allow you to clean your feet against the wall, that's only if it's made out of stone. A stone wall with mud, right? There's mud, maybe not today, but originally there was mud between one brick and the other, so it looks like you're building. But in a wooden one, a wooden house, mud doesn't add anything to it. Doesn't look like you're adding, so it's okay. So that's a solution. Another solution brought down in halacha, according to this opinion, is to take some piece of cheres, today would be plastic, and clean your shoe. We're going to discuss other issues with cleaning the shoe, cleaning your shoe, cleaning your feet. Yeah, mitzad, there's no chashash. Take a piece of plastic, wood, iron, whatever you want. I don't know, some diamonds if you feel like, and just clean your feet or your shoes without rubbing them against any surface. Halacha is very, very interesting. I don't remember already who said what because I saw Baruch Hashem a lot of Rishonim. Basically, 3 out of 4 opinions have some followers by the Rishonim, except for Abaye. Each one of the opinions here in the halacha have a follower, and they're all brought down in halacha. They're all brought down in halacha, and the Mechaber, the Ramah, other opinions, they all believe in either don't do it at all, or you can do it both ways, both on the wall and on the ground. And Rava, you may do it against the koisel, against the wall, not against the ground. The Mishnah Brura, again, me as a simple Ashkenazi Jew, I try to follow Mishnah Brura like a good boy. Mishnah Brura sounds lemaskana to be more lenient towards Rava. Yeah, Mishnah Berurah sounds more lenient, more like Rava, and Rava says what you may against the wall, yes, it doesn't look like you're building. Against the ground, yeah, no. And that's one of the many examples we have about gumos, right? We spoke about the ox, right? Don't clean the trough of the ox because you may come to fill in the holes. We know not to sweep a ground, yeah, a dirt floor. I'm not talking about the floors we have in our houses. Yeah, but let's say you have your backyard. Yeah, you don't sweep anything that's just regular ground dirt, exposed ground on Shabbos. Same reason, you may come to fill in holes. And here's another one: you don't play marbles. Not supposed to play marbles on Shabbos. That's very common with children. Below bar mitzvah, I don't know. Ask your mechanech. Don't ask me. I'm not a mechanech. Yeah, but if you have a kid who's 13 and he wants to play marbles, gulot, julim, and he wants to play it on the ground, and they do that, they level the ground. That's a problem. Or football, soccer is also a problem on Shabbos. Again, I'm saying I'm not a Paisek halacha, but there are many issues about using the ground. Yeah, and we don't use the ground in all kinds of ways because you may come to fill in holes or level the ground, and that's just one case like that. Don't clean your shoes against the ground. You may come to level the ground as you do it, or on purpose fill in the holes. Yeah, it's not a halacha, but that sounds pretty much like the Mishnah Berurah's conclusion. Okay. Amar Rava, another statement of Rava, lo leitiv inish apuma delechia, or according to other girsos, lo lishtamish inish apuma delechia. Let me just see the right version exactly. I don't remember. Lo lishtamish. I was right by mistake. Amar Rava, says Rava, lo leitiv, don't sit or don't use inish. A person should not sit where apume delechia, by the mouth of the lechi. I'm going to explain what that means. Dilma migander lechefetz vosilatuye. Yeah, I'll first translate and explain the first part of the sentence, then the second one. You know that on Shabbos, and this applies today, people live in a mavui, in a street that is midoraisa rishus hayochid, let's say, or a Carmelis, one of the two. Yeah, it's a cul-de-sac, it's a dead-end road, and now there's an eruv in there. A person may carry inside the street where there's an eruv, but there is always, if you learn eruvin, you see it all over the place. Yeah, at the end of the mavui, where the mavui meets the big street, which is Rishus Harabim, that contact point between the small street, which is either Carmelis or Rishus HaYochid, and the big street, what do you do in order to create a halachic border to let people know, hey, stop, you can only carry till now and not further? Nowadays they have signs, right? Ad kan gvul ha'eruv, right? Many places in Eretz Yisrael, maybe in America too. Yeah, this is the limit you can carry till now, till here. So make her din, and that's where you should have it. You should have a lechi, a koiro, have some side post with the side of the entrance slash exit of the mavui, and it may also have koira on top. These things are either a real mechitza halachically, or they symbolize like a simon to know this is like the border. Oh, let's say the person is sitting not inside the mavui where he can see the lechi in front of him. Yet when you are sitting behind the border or in front of, you can see here's the border. Zeirut gvul lefanecha. Ever been to Rosh Hanikra? All right. So there you see there's a border, and I know I can sit there doing my stuff, carrying my things, and I know not to cross the border. But if I'm sitting at the actual border, sometimes the lechi is that area itself where the border is, you don't realize you're in the border. You don't see the border because you're in it, right? That's it. Lo leiti v'nishapuma delechia. Don't sit there and hold your cup of coffee or play your ball in there. Why? Dilma migandra lechefetz. Maybe an object, whichever object you're holding, your ball, your whatever that is, something's gonna fall. It will roll. Migandra means will roll out. Where? Oh, to Shusarabim. It will roll out of the border. The osila tuye. You're not really aware where you are. You're so close to Rishus Harabim, you're not facing the border. So you think, where am I? Oh, I'm in Rishus Harabim, right? It's no man's land. It's an in-between place. So maybe now he may come to pick up that object from Rishus Harabim and bring it back to the Mavli. That's a problem, either the Rais or the Rabbanon, but it's a problem. Therefore, don't be in that red alert, that danger zone, because then you may come to do that and come back. The Gemara, we will visit the Gemara again in Daf Kuf Mem Ches Amud Beis, and there it says that there were women who used to do that. They would sit there, yes, with their jugs, and nobody told them anything. It's an Issa Durabanon, as long as they don't really bring it back. Yeah, as long as they hold it, it's an Issa Durabanon. Don't hold your stuff and drink it and do stuff with it. It may roll out, and you may come to bring it back in. It's an Issa Durabanon, and the Gemara says, why don't they tell the women anything? So there, the Gemara says the famous line: people did not warn the women to stop sitting there with their jugs in the hands, because we all know the rule, mutab shishagi in volume azidin. These women are women, they're not learning Gemara, whatever, and all that, and as much. And those women didn't know the halacha, and if you do tell them, they won't necessarily listen. Yeah, women don't, men too, applies to men as well. If you don't really know that the person would listen to you, and it's not an isra mefurish in the Torah, in the Chumash Mamish, sometimes it's better to keep quiet, not to be the big Bal Musar, and it's better to be Mutab Shogig in Valim Azidin. Leave them in their, la la land, in their land of ignorance. Better that than knowing the halacha, better than them knowing the halacha and disobeying the halacha. That's just, yeah, we'll see that it's written about this specific case in Daf Kuf Mem Ches. Another statement of Rava, again about a Shvuya Gumois. Lo litzaded inish kuva, and the word is be'ara. Don't litzaded, don't take a kuva. Kuva is a big barrel. Don't take a big barrel and settle it, like align it, make it sit nice and proper on the ground. Why? Dilma osila shvugumoy. Same thing, and that's halacha. If you have the big kli and you need like a very straight ground in order to balance and have a stable landing area, stable area for positioning your chavis, your big kli. Don't place the big chavis there. If it's a small one, fine. But it's a big one, you need to like settle it azoy, make it straight. Don't do that on Shabbos, because it may come to on purpose. You forget yourself. You're all nervous, You may come to straighten it, and straightening the ground is isodalaisa. V'amar Rove. Says Rove, lo lihaduk inish udra bepuma deshisha. Don't be mehadik. Don't tighten. Don't push in a tight way the udra, the bit of muchin, the no, not tissues, like a handkerchief. Don't take like a handkerchief or a towel, some kind of cloth. Don't stuff it in the puma, in the mouthpiece of the shisha of the jug. You have a jug full of water, and you want to stuff it. Yeah, you want to fill it with you don't want the water to be exposed, let's say. People do it today too. The Chazonishnikim, they do you're from Bnei huh? Oh, no. So they do like the electric kettle, they cover the thing. They cover the bit of the spout, it's called. The pea of the kumkum, the spout, they cover it. So it shouldn't be exposed because of megulim. Yeah, I've seen that myself. So, Baruch Hashem, Achshel Daro. So basically, yeah. So now you can't don't on Shabbos if the jug is full, yeah, or almost full. Don't stuff it. Don't stuff that opening, that spout, with anything that's like a towel or a napkin, anything that's made out of cloth, of fabric. Why not? Dil ma'asi lidei schita. Even if right now you're careful, you may easily come to schita, which means as you're stuffing it harder, you're stuffing it in, yeah, like tight and good, tight and well, and now there's water there. What's going to happen? If it's full of water, at some point it may be full of water. The jug, water is up and down and all that. You may come to squeeze out water, and squeezing out water out of the cloth is a problem on Shabbos. Why? That's a problem. Melabin. Melabin is one of Lamates Malachos. To squeeze out water out of the cloth is an Iso Doraisas, even though, yeah, what you're doing now may be mutter, but it could be a psikresha. That's a discussion in Daf Kuf Yud Aleph. It's one of the classical cases of psikresha. In other words, here it says Dilma Ossi, there's a question. You may do it on purpose to dafka squeeze out some water. That's one shot. Yeah, Ossi Lidei. Yeah, you're trying to be careful without realizing, yeah, you may forget it Shabbos, and you may want to dafka squeeze out some water with forgetting. That's also mamish, beyadain. Or there's another shot that it could be psikresha. Yeah, at some point, if it's so tight and the thing is wet, whether you want it or not, lamaisa the water will come out. Yeah, because that's psikresha. There's no other way. So whichever the pshat is, don't do it in Shabbos. What? Oh, yeah. Even yeah, it's just Isser Darabanan because you may come to Doraisa. Let's say I want to be smart, and I say, no, 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 I'll be careful. I'll do it very careful. I think so. I don't know if that's halacha, but that's what I think. I hope I'm not wrong. I'm always scared of misleading people. The way I understand, right? If the guy knows, right? If the guy knows that it's wet, it's wet and he's stuffing it in, that's an isodorais, a psikresha, right? It's not a chiddush. The chiddush is that even if you think you'll be careful, you may not be. La'osilidei, yeah. Let's say the towel is dry now, the bit of towel or napkin or whatever, the handkerchief is dry. You're putting it in the thing there where it gets wet. You think you may not come to schita, but you may yes come to schita without realizing, or with realizing later. That's a chiddush. Yeah. Don't be smart and think I'll be careful because the you can't be. That's what I understand. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's my understanding of it. Amav Kana. Oh, from now till the end of the page, more or less, we're going to discuss one more case of libun. We just discussed now libun, right? Oh, here comes another case of libun. Amav Kana. Again, as I told you before, I'll give you a small introduction. Libun, which is really laundering, washing clothes, that's the simple meaning, bleaching, cleaning clothes, fabrics, and Shabbos, and sometimes leather also. They have many very versatile, very different toldos. Why is that? When you clean clothes on Shabbos, not on Shabbos actually, hopefully not, when you clean a shirt with your own bare hands, what do? You rub the dirt, you wet it, right? You bring in water, soap, you rub it very well, right? Then you squeeze it, you wring it, then you whatever, you shake it, you let it dry. So the process of libun, of cleaning clothes, has many different stages that are, each one is a different part of the Maisa Shabbos, the Isser Shabbos of libun, which means squeezing water out of a wet towel is one Isser. Even though I didn't wet it, I just squeeze it. I'm taking one segment of the process. It's also, let's say, wet the cloth without wringing, without rubbing, it's also an Isser. You know what I'm saying? It's like you take the picture, you cut it to pieces, each piece is another part of or tolda of Melabin, right? Okay, and now we're going to we'll discuss some of them before, some of them we'll discuss later, towards the end of the Masechta. Now we're discussing the kiskus. The kaskes means like to rub, to scrub, yeah? Or sometimes just to clean, right? What happens when this annoying trina or whatever, something even worse, I don't know, something charaime falls on your tie in the middle of the Shabbos meal, boom, yeah, you want to scrape it off. That's so simple, right? Because scraping off the dirt, it's part of libun. So maybe it's usher, maybe it's mutter. Let's see what the Gemara has to say. Yeah, Amav Kana, Tit Shal Gabi Bigdoi. A person has tit, the person has some kind of mud on his shirt, on his garment. Mekaskes mibifnim ven mekaskes mibachutz. So first of all, Rashi says that kiskus is not an Isser Doraisa because there's no water involved. It's not so Poshet Rashi is lahalocha, by the way. I'm just reading more in Rashi now. There is no Doraisa here when you're mekaskes. In other words, when you just rub and you just scrape it off, according to Rashi, it's not an Issa Doraisa. It looks like Melaben. Because it's only Dorabanon, it looks as if you're cleaning when you remove the mud, the dirt, and therefore Mekaskes Bifnim. Let's say the tie is dirty over here, and I'm cleaning it from the other side. Yeah? I'm kind of removing it from the wrong side, from the inside, or the inside the shirt. The shirt is dirty and you clean it from the inside because it's not so evident, right? Not so clearly done. It's not so apparent. That's why Chachamim, the kiskus is only the Rabbanon, because Rashi holds it's not an Issa D'Oraisa. Mimela, the kiskus befnim can be done. It's not so, not so evident, not so clear. Then the kiskus bechutz. But when you mistake with your own hands, your own finger, your fingernail, and you clean on the outside, you mamish touch the dirt, that already doesn't look good, and the kiskus mibachutz is too much, and it looks like melaben, and it's also dorabonon. How other Rishonim explain it, I'll leave it for now, okay? But that Rashi is very good shot, for this Gemara. Meisivi. Now the Gemara is challenging this with the Brisa. It says, "Teach al gabe min oloi." Oh, sometimes leather is also susceptible to libun, and that's also sugya. I think it's in Zvochim. Where is it in Zvochim or Manochas? I remember learning it in Koilo. I remember where the Makor. But tit shall gabe min oloi. You have tit on you have some kind of dirt, mud on your shoe. Megaveroi begav sakin. You're allowed to scrape it off, not with a sharp part of the knife, but with the back of the knife. As we're going to see later, with shoes, there's another issue. Even if we leave behind the other sugya in Kochim about libun of leather, in shoes there's another issue which is not libun, but a different av melocha called memachik. As we're going to see soon, we're going to open the sugya. When you have leather, such as leather shoes, and you scrape them off with something sharp and hard, that's memachik. What's memachik? Memachik basically means softening, and removing hair or removing the hardness from leather or from other things. Memachik could also apply to stones. You have a rough stone or rough piece of wood, and you smoothen it, making it smooth, nice, no hairs, no roughness, no bumps, making it nice and smooth. That's memachik. That's memachik. People can be over this on Shabbos. So the shoe, if you want to be megar and remove the dirt, you can't do it too well. Don't start going crazy and sharpen and really rub it well. Because this way it's already memachik. You did it with the back of the knife. The back of the knife is not as sharp, and therefore it's not memachik. The shell bigdoi. If you have the dirt on your clothes, megar betziporen, you're allowed to clean it with your tziporen, with your fingernail. As long you can just megarer, you can scrape it off without kiskus. Kiskus is like this. Don't rub it off between your hands. Just rub it like that. My love, shaloi kaskas klal. Oh, it sounds like you should bechlal not do any kiskus, any rubbing, like one again, any scrubbing. Don't do. And you're telling me that the inside is okay, just the outside is wrong. And says Gemara, no, it's not a challenge. And chinami, what the Brisa meant was shiloi kaskes mebechutz ela mibefnim. Oh, in other words, we meant otherwise. We meant that when the Brisa meant don't be mekaskes, it meant don't do kiskus like this on the outside, where the dirt it actually is, but you can do the kiskus from the inside. So my example before wasn't so good. I apologize. When it's megare, we said it's fine, just like that. And even that, you have to make sure a little bit is left on your shirt. You can't completely clean it on Shabbos. That I remember from Alocha. But when you scrape it off, that's okay. But to rub it, which is worse, it's more professional to go like this. That's why you're supposed to clean clothes. You rub one piece against the other. On the outside is not allowed. In the inside is okay. Like from the inside of the shirt, somehow, more like indirect. I'm not sure how it's done, but it's less direct, not where the dirt is, but behind the scenes, that is still okay, and that's allowed mibifnim. You're allowed to scrape off the new shoe, but not an old one. And new shoe is less susceptible to memachek because it's nice and shiny and new. The yoshon already becomes a little bit rough. And if you take something rough and make it smooth, that's memachek. But still, the Gemara is we're not kuf mem aleph amud beis now. But mem megareroy omer begav sakin. No, what even that even the new one, even the new one, you're only allowed to be megara with the back of the knife, not with the front of the knife. Because the front of the knife, even the new one, yes, the old one, bichlal not, the new one only with the back of the knife. Amar lehu Saba, but then the Saba, the elderly scholar, told Rabbi Abahu, he says, no, Sami didach mekamei, I will remove what you said. What you said is not true. What you're saying, I'm removing. Sami, mikami ho. Yeah, I'm removing that because there's a brisa not like you. We'll continue tomorrow. But the beginning of the brisa says you're not allowed to be megarer. No way with anything that's sharp, like an iron piece. You're not allowed to be megarer and scrape mud off your shoe, neither old nor new. The halacha I saw in the Noise Kalim brought on Mishnah Berurah too. Many times there are even today. They have like in front of houses or in streets. They have like a grid. You have a lot of like blades around the floor, like manholes, but sometimes they're sharp. A lot of like sharp edges in order to clean your shoe. And before you come in, you can't do that on Shabbos. You can use something lighter, like I don't know, the one that's blunt, or against the steps themselves. And Drew says you can rub it against the steps of the building or something like that, but not against the sharp iron pieces, the blades, because that's memachik. Again, ask Kirov, but this is what it seems to be the story. Shkoyach, thank you very much. Tomorrow, Kuf Mem Aleph Amud Beis. Hopefully, I hope maybe we'll finish the Perik tomorrow. Thank you very much for your participation. Shkoyach Rabbi Kiva. Thank you, Atzlocha Uvrocha, to everybody here in Torah anytime. May you be blessed always. Atzlocha Uvrocha.